Hello and welcome back to the Football Now. We're here with the match preview today. Stockport County take on Wrexham at Edgeley Park on Saturday. This Saturday coming up in what is a big game for Stockport County. It's a big game for Wrexham as well. It's one which has started in the non-leagues. It's worked its way up back into the Football League, League 2 last season, and of course this season in League 1. Both teams have aspirations to go up the leagues over the next couple of seasons. Obviously we know about Wrexham, the Hollywood takeover, and what could be possible for them. But of course Stockport County have done quite well over the last couple of seasons themselves, and both teams meet in League 1 this weekend. Of course, like I say, it's a big game for both teams and it's well timed. But just before I get into some of the information I want to go over, I'm going to read out a comment which was put out by someone on the channel earlier today when I announced that actually we've got a Blue Sky account now for the channel, so do check that out. I think the link will be in the description below. It's a new platform, so keep an eye on that one. But Nick said, looking forward to the Wrexham game preview. Thanks very much for that one. The midweek Tranmere game, 99% rubber stamped that HINCHLIFFE will start on Saturday, and worrying that our strikers in the squad seemed short of confidence or absent for injury, which I thought was interesting. That's why I've sort of tied it into this, because he's right. The fact that ADDAI started the game on Tuesday night pretty much means that HINCHLIFFE will be in goal on Saturday, bar any injuries. So that's what we'll talk about when we go into the team news. But he's right about players being short of confidence and others being injured, and how that doesn't possibly give us the strongest squad going into Saturday. But Wrexham have a few problems of their own. Their goalkeeper's going to be out for, I think it's 6 weeks, so that's not well timed for them. They're going to have to find a way to deal with that. So both sides come into this with a few issues of their own, but of course both teams are doing fairly well in League 1 if you actually take a step back and look at it from a distance and put it into perspective. That both these teams were in the non-league 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, both of them doing very, very well in League 1, although it maybe doesn't always feel like it. As you go through week in, week out, results and performances can often affect the way we look at things. But if you actually do remove yourself for a second, take a step back, you realise actually both teams have had a very, very good last couple of seasons, and even this season it's been very strong for both of them when you put it into perspective. But yeah, of course, Stockport County do host their 4th league game in a row at Edgeley Park this weekend, when Wrexham arrive and search for revenge after last season's 5-0 defeat at Edgeley Park, one I'm not going to forget anytime soon. County have not played an away game since the 26th of October when they played Lincoln City, of course, in that horrible defeat. Since then, we've played in total 5 home games in all competitions, winning 3 and losing 2. County have had an inconsistent start, I think it's fair to say, in life in League 1, but find themselves in the playoffs 3 positions lower than this weekend's visitors. Wrexham sitting 3rd in the table, 4 points clear from the Hatters, and arriving in unbeaten form as they've not lost in any of their last 5 league games, with wins over Northampton Town, Rotherham, and a big win last weekend over Mansfield Town. Big result for them in that game as well, because Mansfield Town are also another team which has come up from League 2 last season and done very, very well so far in League 1 this season. Wrexham beat County in their last meeting at the racecourse on the final day of last season in League 2. The Welsh side have won at 2-1 after a late goal from former Hatters midfielder Andy Cannon. Wrexham's last visit to Edgeley Park ended in disaster, of course, for the visitors, as they were well and truly beat 5-0 last September. Their visit this weekend may not feel well timed after County put 5 past Bolton last Saturday. However, we also lost by 5 in the previous match. Wrexham will not really know what to expect. I suppose they'll be in the same boat as a lot of County fans by not knowing what to expect from Stockport County, as County have been inconsistent. We've had some bizarre results so far this season, just at Edgeley Park alone. We've won games 4-1, we've lost games 4-1. We lost 4-1 to Leicester. We won 4-1 against Reading, we lost 5-0 to Wycombe, but then we responded in the perfect manner by beating Bolton 5-0 straight away. So it's been a really sort of weird start to the season for County, particularly at home, which is of course where this fixture will take place. And we know that Wrexham will be a tough test, arguably the toughest test this season. I think it's probably up there with Wycombe. Obviously they'll carry some heavy threats as well, whether that be the sort of older players, or not older players, but the older sort of stars of the team, like maybe Mullin and Elliot Lee, who have been in the team for some years now, or whether it be new signings like Dobson, who's come in and impressed by all accounts Wrexham fans so far this season. Of course, Jack Marriott as well, top scorer for Wrexham in League 1 this season. I think he's got 5 goals in 10 league games so far, but I think he's missed the last couple of games due to injury, so he won't be available, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, any Wrexham fans. And then, of course, below that, you've got Elliot Lee, who is the top scorer with 4 in League One so far this season. So those two will be threats to look out for, but they've got threats across the pitch. They'll have recruited well over the summer. I'm not as in the know with their squad as maybe I could have been. But I expect there'll be a tough opposition where they are on the table. The sort of backing they've got behind them. They'll come to Edgeley Park, as I say, looking for revenge for that result last season, and they'll have they'll carry threats. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But County, I think, have our own threats, and I think that if you actually look at it, I think that not necessarily a goal threat as such, but probably arguably our most important player on Saturday could be Will Collar, if not the most important player. That could be a controversial take. Is Will Collar going to be our most important player on Saturday? I think he possibly could be. I want to get your thoughts on that one. But of course, Louis Barry, scoring goals as well. He continues to progress in the County shirt this season. His goal to make it 4-0 last time out was his 10th of the season in League One as he continues to shine. He had a hand in 2 of our 5 goals in last season's home meeting as he set one up and scored one. Sadly, though, Tanto Alafi, who scored a hat-trick in the last game, that 5-0 win over Wrexham last season, is unlikely to feature from the start on Saturday after starting just 4 of his 13 appearances in League One this campaign. Lack of fitness and pre-season still holding him back, I think, from being at his absolute best, and I think it's a shame because he's a fantastic player. We just haven't been able to get him firing yet this season, haven't been able to get that consistency. He's played 13 games, or he's appeared in 13 games, but you wouldn't know it because he's not had much to do in those minutes. I don't think he's had many minutes, to be honest, when he has come on. When he has come on as well, I don't think he's had much of an opportunity to make an impact. So it's been a tough start for Tanto Alafi in League One this season, but this could be the perfect game for him to come in and have an impact off the bench. So I do expect he'll be starting from the bench, but you never know. If you get an opportunity to come on, then there's always a chance there that you can take that opportunity by the scruff of its neck and by scoring a goal or getting setting one up, having a big impact in the game. And I would always back Tanto Alafi to do that, but we just haven't seen enough of that so far this season, unfortunately, from him. Of course, a big talking point will be the keeper. ADDAI was brought in to be number 1, as we know, but doubts crept in when Challoner decided to make the substitution for him at half-time during the Lincoln defeat. It appeared as if the situation was back under control when ADDAI found himself in goal for the Hatters' win over Reading. However, Challoner made the call to drop ADDAI for the Bolton game, and after selecting him in the midweek cup game, it's increasingly likely that Ben Hinchliffe will be in goal on Saturday. But is that the right decision for Dave Challoner and Stockport County to make? I want to get your thoughts on that one. For me personally, and we'll go more into it in a bit, but Corey ADDAI was brought in to be the number 1 goalkeeper. That was the promise that he would have signed for Stockport County on, and I think he should be the number 1 goalkeeper going forward. Ben Hinchliffe has been a fantastic servant at the football club, and by no means am I critical of him. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. He's come in and looks very steady as well. But ADDAI's the future, and I think you've got to support your number 1 goalkeeper, and I think we haven't done that as much as I think maybe we possibly could have done so far this season. So I'm disappointed a little bit with that, but we'll have to wait and see. As I say, it's heavily expected that Hinchliffe will start the game on Saturday. I think it's pretty much the worst kept secret, to be honest, that team news when it arrives at 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. But anyway, let's just have a quick look at the results in League One. Last weekend, of course, as Barnsley hosted Rotherham on the Friday night game, that finished 2-0 in favour of Barnsley. And then, of course, we had the 2 12:30 kickoffs, which Wrexham were involved in one of when they beat Mansfield Town. A huge result for them at home, winning 1-0. Burton Albion managed to get, I think it might be their first win of the season, correct me if I'm wrong, a 2-0 win over Shrewsbury, who have just appointed a new manager, Gareth Ainsworth, I think it is. He's going to be the new manager in the dugout for them over the next couple of weeks. Well, I'd imagine it'd last longer than a couple of weeks, but you never know with Shrewsbury at the moment. It's not a great position for them in the table, as we'll get to in a short while. Birmingham City dropped points. They were held 1-1 with Northampton Town. Bristol Rovers also drew with Lincoln 1-1. Crawley with a 2-2 draw against Huddersfield Town. Exeter City getting that 1-0 win over Charlton Athletic. Leyton Orient putting 3 past Blackpool without response. Peterborough outdoing Stockport County's result by beating Cambridge 6-1, 5 goals in both those games though. Stevenage 1, Reading 1, and of course County with that 5-0 win over Bolton Wanderers. Very much out of the county blue, if you like. And Wigan Athletic lost 1-0 to Wycombe Wanderers, who continue to be excellent at the top of the table. And as we go to the top of the table. As I say, Wycombe Wanderers are top of that table by 2 points, but have played a game more than Birmingham City, who have lost that top spot over the last couple of weeks. Wrexham, of course, in third, Barnsley fourth, Lincoln fifth, with County holding that final playoff position as it stands, with just a slightly higher goals difference than Mansfield Town, both on equal points. Huddersfield Town, of course, in 8th, Reading 9th. Bolton Wanderers went from 6th to 10th with that result last weekend. Exeter City, they found themselves in 11th. I don't think they've moved. Peterborough 12th, and of course in that bottom half of the table, it seems like there's not been too much movement really in those kind of areas at the top half, the bottom half, but there's been a little bit of movement at the bottom, as Shrewsbury are now bottom of the table. Burton have managed to get themselves out of the 24th position up to 23rd. Cambridge, I think, have dropped off a little bit. They found themselves in 22nd, as you see. Blackpool 18th, Wigan 19th, and Orient 20th, even though they got that big win against Blackpool last weekend. We'll have a quick look ahead as well to the games coming up this Saturday. Not too many games as usual, as there has been international call-ups which has seen many games be postponed, with just a 1:12:30 kick-off Exeter City against Lincoln City, and all the rest of 3 o'clock kick-offs. So, Blackpool will host Northampton, Bristol Rovers will take on Crawley Town, Cambridge United will welcome Barnsley. I'm sure they'll be terrified of facing Barnsley at the moment with how the two sides are doing. Of course, County host Wrexham, which didn't turn out too badly the last time Wrexham visited Edgeley Park. All those games are available on Sky Sports Plus as well. As I say, team news, well, we'll quickly talk a little bit. As I say, but big blow for Wrexham as well. Going into this is their number 1 goalkeeper, Arta Okonkwo. I hope I've said that correctly. He's out for 6 weeks, I believe, with a broken wrist, so they'll have to look for alternative solutions in goal. I mean, possibly they could borrow ADDAI for the game, couldn't they? As it's expected, he won't be starting the game. But in all seriousness, no, it's never good when a team loses their number 1 goalkeeper. It does cause problems, and some people could argue that's possibly what happened with County at the beginning of the season, bringing in a new goalkeeper, sort of losing that familiarity. It doesn't do teams well, and maybe we can prey on that lack of familiarity in Wrexham's backline with a new goalkeeper between the sticks, or maybe not necessarily a new goalkeeper, but someone who isn't used to playing and maybe doesn't have the same command of the area that I'm sure their number 1 goalkeeper would typically have. But more focus on Stockport County's team selection, and more specifically the team I think Dave Chownell will go with. Ethan Pye's back available after having missing through suspension last Saturday. Obviously came back for the Bristol Street Motors Trophy game, which I thought he did fairly well in. Rydell and Southern Hales, of course, both started in the league last time out and were well rested midweek, as neither of them were considered in the matchday squad against Tranmere. And I suspect Chownell will pick an almost identical starting 11, to be honest, to the one that faced Bolton, sticking with a back 3 with just one change, in my opinion. And I think that one change will be Ethan Pye coming in for Ibi Toure, who, of course, is with the Gambia squad for their international break. So I think he'll go with Hinchliffe in goal, Connolly, Horsfall and Ethan Pye as a back 3, with Rydell and Southern Hales as the wing-backs, Lewis Bate in midfield with Norwood, with Will Collar slightly further ahead, and the 2 strikers in Louis Barry and Cal Wootton. I think that's the team he will go with. My team would be slightly different. Here's the team I would go with. I'm going to go with Corey ADDAI in goal. That's what I would pick for the reasons I've said. I think he's the number 1 goalkeeper for Stockport County. I think we've got to get behind him. I don't think he will do that, but that's what I would do. Maybe that's why I'm sat here talking about it and I'm not Dave Chownell making decisions, who knows. But Sam Hughes would be in that back 3 with Horsfall and Pye for me. I'm not the biggest fan of Callum Connolly. I thought he did okay last Saturday, but let's be honest, Bolton didn't really put us under too much pressure. So I've not seen enough from him to convince me that he's a good enough player for us to be starting week in, week out. So therefore Sam Hughes comes in. You could argue he's probably not had enough of an opportunity to show that either, but I just prefer him over Connolly, to be honest. And I think Connolly needs to prove himself potentially in some of those cup games that will come at some point once the draw will be made for the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. I'm not entirely sure when that will be, but maybe that'll be Connolly's opportunity for him to win me round, because he's not won me round in the league games so far this season, I've got to be honest. I also would go with Rydell and Southern Hales as the wing backs. I thought they both did really well against Bolton, specifically Ryan Rydell, which I pointed out after the game as well. He really impressed me down that left hand side, especially after how long he's been out injured for. So I think they would be the 2 wing backs for me. Then I'd go with Lewis Bate and Will Collar as the two central midfielders, dropping him a little bit deeper than I think that Dave Chowner will play him. And then I'd go with Odin Bailey as the attacking midfielder behind the two strikers, which of course will be Louis Barrett and Cal Wotton, which doesn't really... it kind of picks itself, that front two at the moment. As I say, Michael Mellon's injured, and Tanto Laffy hasn't started the season, in the way which we would have wanted him to. He's not up to full speed yet. He's not up to full fitness, and he hasn't looked, particularly brilliant when he has played. Apart from he has had a couple goals already this season, but he's not at his best. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of Wotton, he did score on Saturday as well. He put a good shift in. So I think it does kind of pick itself, that front two at the moment, when you play with two strikers, which I think Dave Chowner will do. And I personally probably do the same. So that's my thoughts on the team selection. Like I say, it's a big game for both teams. How do I think it will pan out? I'm not a magician, so I can't work that one out, because you would have to be a magician, I think, to get the correct scoreline from this game. With the form County are in, Wrexham obviously tough opposition. No one would have predicted the 5-0 before it happened in both the games, to be honest. I don't think anyone was confident going into the Wickham game, but I don't think they thought they would lose 5-0. And I thought, going into the Bolton game, we thought it'd be a tough game. We thought, we'd do well to get a result out of it, but we certainly didn't think we'd end up winning it 5-0 either. So, yeah, it's an interesting one at County at the moment. In terms of score prediction for this one, I'm going to back County to win it, but it could be anything. So I'm going to go with a 3-2 win for Stockport County. I think there'll be goals in this game. As I say, Wrexham and County, there's a bit of a rivalry there. Some people in the fan base think there's a rivalry, some people don't acknowledge it, but there is a bit of needle there between the two teams after both being fairly competitive over the last few seasons. Therefore, I think both teams will want to score as many as they can. Particularly Wrexham will want to get revenge, as I say, for those 5 goals that they conceded at Edgeley Park last season. They'll want to put on a better display for their away fans that'll be travelling for this one. So, yeah, I think there'll be goals in the game, as I say, but hopefully there'll be enough for Stockport County to come out with 3 points. And 3-2 is going to be my score prediction. It's locked in now, so I can't really change that. Though we'll wait till the beginning of that vlog. I might end up changing it. So as of now, it's locked. Subject to change at the beginning of my vlog on Saturday. I might feel differently when I wake up on the day, but yeah, as it stands, 3-2 is my score prediction. That's my team prediction and what I would pick as well. So let me get your thoughts on the score prediction this weekend, and of course, what do you think on the Corey ADDAI situation? Do you think he should be starting as number 1 goalkeeper for Stockport County, or are you in the Ben Hinchliffe camp where you agree that he's back in and it's all back to normality for County with him back in goal? Who do you think will be that back 3 or / back 4? You might think would be better with a 4. So yeah, basically let me get your thoughts on the team you would go with, what you think Chowner will go with, score prediction, and the one player that you're looking forward to seeing the most this weekend for Stockport County. I've probably got to say Louis Barry. It's a bit of a boring answer, isn't it? But yeah, very much looking forward to this game. As I say, we will have the match vlog as well coming out later on that night as well. I'm not entirely sure what time because got a couple of things on as well. But yeah, I'll try and get out as always as best as early as possible. So yeah, let me get your thoughts on the game on Saturday. As I say, don't forget to like the video, of course, comment as usual, subscribe if you are new as well. We are trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. It'd be much appreciated if you can do that. And hopefully you've all enjoyed the video, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one, where hopefully Stockport County have a big win to celebrate. Thanks for watching.